On Friday, the 10th of October 2025, we're with Pa Modou Sarr, President of the Musicians Union of the Gambia. What's your proudest moment yet as Musigam President?
I think my proudest moment was, there was this, that's what we call the bicentenary of the Gambia. This is basically done in Janjambure.
Oh, okay, that's bicentenary of Makati Island.
Exactly, Makati Island. So I was basically tasked to identify musicians together with the executive of the Music Union of the Gambia. And putting these young people together, knowing how much they love what they do, putting them in a cluster. And you look from stretch to stretch across that cluster, and you look at every one of them, how enthusiastic they are, how happy they are to go out there and perform. Not just centrally here, but over there. Because a lot of what we do is more of here and not over there. And then these people have rehearsed on live bands. We have a full band that backed them up. And then just when I stood next to the driver and I looked across, I was emotional. I looked at all of them and I could tell, in my head I'm like, we really need to do a lot. We really need to do it. Even the costa, we have to go hire it out. There's nothing wrong. There are so many costas that are lying down in different government institutions that they don't provide do for anything. There's nothing wrong with the government saying, you know what, for the creative industry, we're giving you 2-3 costas, because one of the things that really will never stop about the music and the creativity we do is movement. It always has to happen. When you provide that to them, it eases the expenses side of things. Like I said, just when I looked at them, I was so happy that we were able to provide that platform for all these people to be able to go there and perform. And I tell you what, that particular moment meant a lot to me. Because when I looked at it, I was like, okay, fine. This is something that I could say that I was able to bring all these big names together to go and do this. Yeah, so that's one definitely proud moment that I have.
And how does Musigam support artists who face financial issues? I know you want money for the union itself, but yeah, musicians, not all of them are doing very well. Definitely, not all of them are doing very well. But Uncle, like I said, one of the things that we've always do is to make sure, I've always said this, it's about, as a pressure group, we want to deal with our members. But by default, for me, every Gambian musician is a part of the Musicians Union of the Gambia, whether you are registered or not. And for me, it doesn't matter what happens. And I tell you what, in terms of finances, we have supported musicians in this country regarding finances, even though we are struggling. We are basically on our knees regarding that. We have supported artists in different problems that they have had. Some sensitive, we probably don't want to talk about that on air, but we've basically stood by them to make sure that whatever that happens regarding their situations, we're able to be there. For a lot of times, I tell you this, a lot of our, our critics will say, where is Musigam? But I cannot really deal with someone who has a profile, and that profile is being created for the past 5-6 years. And I come to social media, I said, this person is into this, and then we supported the person for this and that. There are things that are very sensitive about people's profile that you don't want to put out. And knowing how much the profile of musicians means, and what damages that could happen if you utter probably just even a sentence about them. We are very wary of that, and that's the reason why most of the time, even when we stand by them during those difficult times, it is not in our mandate to come out. And I always tell the executive, whatever it is, we're not going to write this. The fact that ñun suñ digante ak that particular person and the team. If they feel like they want to talk about it, no problem. If they don't want to talk about it too, we're good. But primarily, that's our responsibility, and we'll definitely keep doing that. And does the union involve itself in helping artists with negotiating performance fees or contracts?
Well, I think we've basically done that probably for maybe 2 artists, because they've got contracts, and when those contracts came, and they wanted us to have an eye in it, and I've always even encouraged artists to say, when you have this contract, it's important you involve us. When we serve as a witness, then whoever that is hiring you will understand that, hey, there is a bigger entity behind this person, so we cannot really, because most of the people give you contracts, but they have hidden agendas behind those contracts. So you really want to make sure you have a good backing regarding that. And also, if you look at the clause and we feel like whatever clause this is not really helping you, it's our responsibility to also do. We even have a legally minded person, if that's the best way to say it, that we have, that usually when we have this is the person we contact to make sure that we get those things in place. Yeah.
We've had artists on the show who've lamented the absence of music education in this country. Is Musigam collaborating with any university or music school, whether based here in the Gambia or abroad, to improve music education in this country? We had Moltz on the program last week, and before him, a lady artist. I'm forgetting the name, Chan.
Okay.
And they lamented the fact that we don't have schools where they can go and learn music.
But that's true. You see,
Mariama Cham.
Mariama Cham, yeah. That's she's the one that just came from UK.
They tell me it's
exactly.
She's Barhama's sister.
Barhama's sister, yeah. Mariama Cham. I think I just met her day before yesterday. So
they want music to be taught in this country.
No, but of course, Mariama Cham as an example have had an opportunity to go to music school, to learn how to play the guitar, to learn how to play the keyboard, for instance. That is music education.
That's a privilege she had.
Exactly. But again, I've always said this. When we were going to school, I'm not too sure if this has to do with music, but there was this Children Have Hour, Uncle Peter, if you remember.
Yeah.
Which we as kids will look forward to.
Yeah, on Radio Gambia.
Exactly. Halita, Chulen, and all of that. These are moments that, for me, it basically ignites that creativity in you, even though, right now we don't have that. We don't have that. And I've always said, when we went to meetings, and one of the things that they wanted us to talk about is, what do we do? And we said, we need to have a curriculum. And this curriculum needs to be embedded in our education system. Music is a trade that you can basically get millions and millions and millions. It's a source of livelihood in essence. So, we don't really need to teach people algebra or whatever that is alone in the school system. There are so many people that probably might not be good in that, but they are very good in this. So, we encourage to say that that should happen. But no, we don't have many of those music schools in this country. And at Musigam level, yes, we have plans to have that in place. In fact, when we did our proposal for the ITC, one of the things that we wanted to do was to have an avenue where musicians can be trained. But again, as a part of our activities, we organize series and series of training for musicians to benefit from. Because, for instance, right now we're already working, because I have a curriculum. I'm a drum player, so we have a curriculum that is in place for drum set players in terms of the rudiments and all of that. So all these are things that we're going to have, more like a workshop where we're going to be inviting them to come over. You get registered; it's free of charge. Just come. You have an instructor teach you how to do it. If you really get into it and you want to do it, of course you will explore all avenues to get into it. And of course we want to provide that avenue to be able to have that. Hopefully we'll have the cultural center that we have been talking about in the Gambia. If you're looming forever, that's the best way to say it. Hopefully if we have that cultural center, we'll have an avenue where we can have all these instruments and people can dance. You have a place to dance, you have a place to play music and learn how to do all of that stuff. So hopefully, that happens here.
Well, I'll tell you what we have. A national center for arts and culture.
Oh yeah, we have that.
Yeah? Now, how can it better support the music industry?
Now, the NCSC, these are our key partners when it comes to government. And I tell you what, I always say they basically gave back to all the artistic associations, because I know for the longest time that they made sure that all the artistic associations emanate from them, even though we are autonomous on our own, but we're still answerable to them, because there is always a chain of work and we cannot work independently even though we are autonomous. So part of what we need to do is to make sure that we provide them with data as to membership, as to what needs to be done, or as to programs and activities and all of that. But I equally think when I talk about government, I always make sure that I start with the NCSC, because for the NCSC, for me, they're supposed to coordinate, supervise, and monitor what is going on with the artistic associations, which means they provide us with activities if they can, which means if I go to look for money somewhere else, for example, I go to the National Commission to look for money in terms of cultural diversity and all of that, I'm not supposed to find the National Center for Arts and Culture sitting there competing with me, for instance. And, that is something. So I've always said this, that the NCSC is more of our mother and father, which we always go back to. But I know there is a lot of room for improvement in terms of what they need to do to support the artistic associations, which I can tell you they are doing a lot, but I still feel, like I said, there is a lot of room for improvement. At the ministry level, the same thing. Of course, at central government level, there is a whole lot. Because, Uncle Peter, one of the key problems I feel we have as a country is we basically put tourism before arts and culture. And for me...
Isn't that right?
Well, for me, that's not right. Because it is arts and culture that actually promotes tourism, for instance.
Oh, okay.
So if you fail to look at or enhance arts and culture, then in essence, you know, in tourism we talk about the three as the sun, and the sea. And I've always said that these are very important elements. You know, these are very, very important things that we need to look at. But again, it's the people themselves. It's our cultures. It's our music. It's our tradition. That when these tourists come, they don't just want to enjoy all of this stuff. What is most sustained part of this is not the sun, and the sea. Because with global warming, of course, we know we are losing a lot of this right now. But the people will always be the people. So if we are able to maintain our cultures and traditions, you know, our art and culture and music, I think people can definitely, in the Gambia, we don't have, as of today, I'm going to say this on air, we don't have a tourism product that has to do with arts and culture in terms of music. The only one I could remember is the Janjanbureh Cultural Festival. If I have to leave Europe and come to the Gambia in terms of music to come to Gambia, I don't have one to come to. And that is a problem. And this is why I really have to use this opportunity to say we're going to be creating the first Gambia Music Award and Festival. Oh. Because, no, Uncle, it's long overdue. We have so many legends in this country in terms of music who have done so much for this country in terms of music and promoting Gambia as a destination. But we have nothing to show for it. We have nothing to support them with. Some of them get sick on their beds and they cannot even have a dime to go to the hospital. Now, this is really crazy. So we thought it would be important, at least Gambia Music Union, we are able to write to the ITC, and I could tell you on record that we've already had an agreement to organize a 3-day. The first day will be the grand opening, and also to make sure that we are able to award all deserving Gambian musicians we have in this country, whether they are old or new, because for me, there's always this intergeneration that happens, the before, the now, and what we're looking forward to in the future, you know, which is primarily important. And then the last 2 days is just going to be live performance. We have a stage set up, and we have so many musicians that will be paid to come and perform. And then for me, the idea is to have that as a
will they, you know, give free performances where the
of course
audience doesn't have to pay anything at the gate?
Yes. For a start, we probably will make it free. But eventually, you know, if you have to sustain this, because the project too is not forever, and sustainability is primarily very important. But we're looking at the sustainability aspect of it by the first day, which is going to be the gala and award night. That is where we're going to be conversing all the money from, and then that's what we're going to be saving to make sure that if the ITC probably is not here for the next 2-3 years, then we have something to continue with, and not necessarily to just look at it like that. Yeah.
I was educated on this program that when you hear that Pamodu Sarr is going to launch an album, don't think it's the launch that the Ifang Bundis and the Abdel Kabirs did in the past, you know, physical CD players or vinyl sleeves and all of that. Now everything is done online. So the question becomes, does Musigam help Gambians monetize their content online?
Well, with all due respect, no, we don't. As of today, we don't. We don't help artists to monetize. The funny thing is, Uncle Peter, as Gambia as a country, we are not monetized in essence. You want to be on YouTube and get paid on it, you don't really have to register in Gambia. You have to be in another country, you know, get it registered.
We know that.
Yeah, so definitely we don't have that. So I know, because I've worked with a lot of artists that I've managed before, and I know that most of what we do is we try to look for someone that is in other parts of the country that are monetized, and we use them, and we provide them with the content, they post it out, and if it gets the required reach that it needs, then we get paid out of that. But definitely at Musigam level, I don't think even as of now we have that capacity. I think that is one thing that we really need to also look at as you know, as an institution. But
and just before the last question, you have an event coming up that you would want to sell now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we have
Wagan wouldn't forgive me
if you don't mess up
for not giving me space to talk about the event.
No, but I really equally thank him a lot, because he basically provided a link for this to happen. I know we have been talking to get some of the musicians over here.
Yeah.
Sometime he will contact me, and then we do that.
In fact, apart from one musician,
yeah,
everybody who's been on this platform, you know, he does. Yeah. Wagan, yes.
No, definitely. He is one person that Gambian music needs to be thankful to. And these are the people that I've said we need to say thank you to in a special way. You know, a lot of young people today might not even know him. These are people that have created the Open Mic Festival, which today, I don't think there's any musicians in this country who haven't had an opportunity to be on that platform that is big today. So basically, if people like that exist in this country, we really need to look at what they have done. We really need to say thank you in a special way to what they have done. So I want to say that, just to go back to our event, this is going to be the second edition of the Gambian Music Convergence. You see, again, our responsibility is to discuss with our membership, to know our individual problems, to know our collective problems. And then that is what we will use to also see what policies need to be in place, what policies we need to look at in order to enhance what they do. What is really disturbing them in terms of any policy that is out there that is not helping us as creatives, that we really need to go fight for through the National, the National Assembly Select Committee, through the National Center for Arts and Culture, of course, through the ministry. But again, we haven't had this, which has been a problem. So we thought we create this. We've done this before. We organized a two-day event, and the first day was the Gambian Music Convergence, to discuss our common problems, have an intergenerational dialogue. What do we have then? What do we have now? What could be better? What are the issues? What are the problems that we have? How can we remedy those problems? Now, we've discussed this. We try to make sure we have what we call 10 demand points, right? The idea is to get these demand points, which we will definitely put up as as an outcome of the entire convergence, and we make sure that there is a report attached to it. Then we go drop it at the National Center for Arts and Culture. We go to the National Assembly Select Committee on Arts and Culture. We want to go to the minister to do the same thing. So the idea is they should really know firsthand what are our problems and what policies they can influence to make sure that they support what we do as creatives. So this is what is going to be happening on the 11th. Of course, it's tomorrow. It's going to be happening at Alliance Francaise. We have dispatched a lot of letters on email and all of that to invite every musician, every creative in this country. As long as you are part of this, our stakeholders in the creative industry, this is an event for you to be a part of, to come and discuss our common problems. And hopefully, we are able to carve out something tangible for us.
What was the response like the first time you organized this?
It was really bad. Uncle, it was really bad.
Yeah, I was going to say...
Yeah. No, it was...
Do artists attend workshops?
This is one very big problem, Uncle. And I've said this. We have our cabinet. And usually I'm like, okay, fine. I'll fight from the outside. But when you come to the cabinet, I will just have to look at you straight and tell you that this is not right. And I've always encouraged artists. It doesn't matter what it is. To register with the Music Union of the Gambia is $1,250 for 3 years.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is stopping us? Because if you register, even if the union is not doing anything, the union is not going to hurt you, for instance. But there is always that need to belong, to have that sense of belonging to something. That we can fight together, that we can work together, we can enhance each other, which is very, very important. So definitely, we call out for meeting. For example, we've organized a mass registration campaign. And we go out to Westfield with a sound system. Before that, we did social media, did a lot of advert, just to make sure musicians are able to come and at least register. But Uncle, if I tell you the truth, not a lot of artists come over to register. And if you look at it, maybe the biggest artists that we would call in this country might not necessarily get registered with the Music Union of the Gambia. And I think that's a problem.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that's a shame, yeah. So we really need to do better than that. It's not for anything, but it's important. And I've always said this. It's not because it's Pamodo that is the president. No, it goes beyond me. I'm just one individual. The Musigam in itself is bigger than me as an individual. So if you look at Pamodo as, Pamsla, it's not going to work.
Oh, that's another name for you, Pams?
Oh, yeah. Well, they call me Pam sometimes. But that's in short for Pamodo, actually. So they call me Pam. But I think that the idea of us coming to respond to meetings, to be a part of it, to discuss our common problems, to... Sometimes when these young people see all these big artists in those meetings, it helps them get motivated a lot.
Sure.
So I think it doesn't have to do with just you being on stage. We know you have a profile. We know you don't want to be out all the time. But it'll be important, sessions that concerns you and people that you're working with. These are sessions that you need to attend. So again, I'm going to say this. Probably if I have the opportunity to come back again, we'll discuss this. I'm inviting every musician, every creative in this country. And Uncle Peter, I think I'm going to steal. I know you're busy, but we're still going to put out this invitation to you to come over. I think a lot of people need to have a clearer understanding of how our creative industry works. And a lot of people don't really have an understanding. And that's why sometimes when something happens, they say, where is the Music Union? Where is the National Center for Arts and Culture? But, it goes better than that. It goes bigger than that. So again, we are calling on everyone to join us tomorrow at Alliance Francaise. We're starting by 9 o'clock to come and join us for us to discuss our common problems in the creative industry.
Pamodu, good luck.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mamadou Sarr or Pamodu Sarr or PAMS is the president of the Musicians Union of the Gambia. He was our guest this morning. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bisul mu fine.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.